Hi everyone, I'm Hairong Shang-Butler. I'm a fifth-year PhD student in teaching the curriculum at Warner School. I'm writing my dissertation now, and I feel so lucky that I had a chance to take all the online courses and also get a certificate in online teaching. So, as all of you mentioned earlier, that a lot of people think online teaching is just good teaching. But for me, online teaching and learning is good teaching plus a lot of time, a lot of more of the availability from the instructors, and also a lot of differentiation in terms of instructional design and the evaluation. So as an online student, I think what really impressed me was that all the instructors are always available. Like for Dave, every time if I shoot him an email asking any questions, he will respond in like half an hour. I don't know how you were able to do that, but that was just amazing. And that definitely built the trust between the online instructor and the students. So of course, I was able to take the course without worrying about space. And also, I had a chance to know my classmates better. Because I'm an ESL student, I'm originally from China. So English is not my first language. And sometimes, in class discussion, I feel a little bit self-conscious. I'm not sure if what I said was what I meant, and sometimes I'm not sure if my classmates were able to understand me. So that kind of pressure really was on me. But online, discussion, especially the discussion board, gave me a platform to, really have in-depth communication with my classmates and really have some, conversation going on. So I think I really benefited from that a lot. Yeah, of course, the in-depth discussion as an ESL student, just like a lot of, as Heidi mentioned earlier, like a lot of international students at Warner School, and we are from the culture that, you don't talk too much. You think twice or 3 times or 4 times before you say anything. So I always hesitate to raise my hand and say something, but on the discussion board, I can, post something, and then I can sometimes revise it. And then if I got any feedback, I can kind of argue back and explain or clarify my ideas a little bit. So that gives me, kind of lead me out of my comfort zone, but still I was able to really express my ideas. So also I got a lot of hands-on support from all the instructors, Dave, Eric, and also Dean Borassi, not only answering my questions, but in terms of, how I participate in the discussion, and also later on I had a chance to design an online course, and that kind of hands-on support was just invaluable. And and also learning how to solve tech problems. I use social media, I use Facebook or apps all the time, but there are so many things that you can explore in an online class. And that's what I have learned. And also I was able to use those online teaching strategies in my face-to-face class that I'm teaching right now. So I think that's really great. And also, another thing I learned from these courses is the student-initiated learning activities. Like in the discussion board, sometimes the teachers have questions, and then we answer the questions, but sometimes, because I'm from a different cultural and linguistic backgrounds, I may have some other ideas that I can share with everybody, and that makes me feel that my ideas are valued, really appreciated. So another thing is the learning community thing. So we did a lot of group work, and also we did a lot of peer review. That kind of experience I generally don't have from face-to-face class because of the constraints in terms of time and space. And also I got a lot of peer support outside the classroom. I think I emailed Lisa Brown a couple times to help her, to help me solve some tech problems. And also I think, as Dave mentioned earlier, the secret Facebook is a perfect platform for us to share resources. So that kind of peer support is not only in the classroom, but also outside the classroom. And I think that's going to last for a long time. Also, I was able to join some, how do you pronounce that? MOOCs, yeah. To take some other online courses that I'm interested in. So I think I probably won't.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it just is so eye-opening for me, and also it opened a whole different world for me in terms of learning and also in teaching. So because I'm a visiting faculty right now at Warner School, so I was able to use some of the online strategies in the classes I'm teaching. Like I use Web 2.0 tools in teaching international students, and they are young, they know technology much better than me, but they will never had a chance to use some Web 2.0 tools. And also I can accommodate students, linguistic and cultural backgrounds in the discussion, add a little bit of differentiation in terms of assessment and also in the class discussion. I was able to include one asynchronous session in my face-to-face class, and also I helped Appear to design one, just add one asynchronous session in her face-to-face class. When she was out for a conference and she was freaking out, she said, I don't want to miss this class. I said, yeah, I can help you. Yeah, we can see what we can do. So I think it's, again, thank you for offering this chance before I graduate. Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Joel, and my first experience with online learning was actually in 1999 when I was in high school. As a student in Brazil, I thought I would take some English or American high school credit so that I could have an easier transition into an American university. And I'll have to say that first experience with online learning was pretty awful. I felt like any assignment that I sent to the instructor sort of went into this abyss with nobody on the other side. There was supposedly a classroom with other students, but I never knew a single person's name in the classroom aside from the instructor. I never had any sort of interaction. I would write an assignment or whatever, and it would be a couple weeks before I even hear back from the instructor. So it was just a terribly isolating experience. And I said, never again, because that's just the worst way to learn. I pretty much felt like I taught myself, So coming to the States, did school, all that, came to Warner, and I was approached by the dean about an opportunity to do some online classes. And I'm like, I don't think so. But, I decided that I would just give it a shot. And I will say that I was completely shocked at how great of an experience it was. We have, in our classes, a mix of synchronous and asynchronous activities. So in a synchronous environment, we meet on this platform called Blackboard Collaborate, and you have the opportunity to see each other. Like one of the first things that I saw from Dave was a Panopto video, so I could see him. I could see his smile, like just the nonverbal communication as well. And that was something that helped me to establish sort of an immediate connection with him as my instructor. And also in the synchronous environment on Blackboard Collaborate, even if we're not seeing every other student's face, as we speak, there's like a list of all the students' names on the left-hand side here. And if I say something funny, you just see LOL, LOL, LOL. Like they have these little emoticons they can click, and for about 3 or 4 seconds next to their name, that little emoticon shows me what they're experiencing, what emotion they feel, whether they're confused or happy or applauding for whatever reason. So that kind of helped to make up for what I thought would be the absence of nonverbal communication. And I found that was actually something that really helped me to feel heard as I spoke. Let's see, also with the asynchronous activities, one of the cool things about contributing to an online discussion board or a secret Facebook group is that throughout the week, you'll oftentimes get notifications. Oh, so-and-so posted on this forum, Hairong posted on Facebook. Like all these little pings or notifications. So you definitely don't feel isolated. You definitely are constantly reminded that you're a part of this broader community of learning, and at times you kind of need to do the work of saying no to the notifications to remind you that you're also, you can have your alone time as well. But I don't know, I just really wanted to emphasize that this was a great experience for me. When I met some of my peers and instructors for the first time face-to-face, I forgot that I hadn't met them face-to-face. It was sort of like, hey, how are you doing? Like we already knew each other. It wasn't like, we knew each other. We had been in an experience together. We learned together, and relationships were formed through this experience. And in the context of teaching now as well, online, I just feel like this is a great way in which you can learn. Yay for online learning. It's a great thing. I vouch for it. So thank you.
You guys were awesome in terms of staying on schedule. Everything was perfect. It's great. We have time for questions. So, questions from the audience?
The courses have teaching assistants.
We've run our course with a single instructor and also in co-teach model, but we haven't had teaching assistants.
Because they also need to come up to speed and, in some sense, sort of participate in the effort, the whole.
One of the courses we do run here at Warner, though, is a practicum in online teaching and learning, and that's a very heavy mentor model that might be close to the TA model. Eric or I will be a mentor with each of the students in the practicum, and the first several times that they're delivering online, we're right there in the Blackboard Collaborate space with them, and then we have immediate conversation after the session, talk about what worked, what didn't, what you want to do different next time. So it does tend to bring transition from a practice that's not really online to a fully online practice, so that they can practice as a TA, practice as an instructor, whatever.
What if somebody was to change, say, I'm going to change the platform underneath you? How many of you, how would that make you feel? Because you've invested a lot of time, and a lot of the time investment is partly tied into the platform. Beg your pardon?
I said I would not be happy because I put a lot of time into it, and I just don't have a lot of spare time because I'm such a heavy teaching faculty. I mean, it was kind of funny. I got kind of railroaded into teaching this online. It was not like I went, ooh, I want to teach online. That was not my reaction. It was kind of like, well, we need you to do this, and you're going to do this. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to do it. It turned out okay for me, but it is a lot of time, and I hate to have my time wasted. I have that warped sense that when I waste my time, it's my personal life that I wasted, not my work life. So I wouldn't want to change platforms at this point.
One thing I would want to say about that point, though, is that how we help students go through our graduate certificate and now the master's degree in online teaching and learning, concepts, approaches, models, best practices, preparing them to be online designers and online instructors is independent of platform, right? So what Heidi's really talking about is there is some work that you might need to do in terms of moving from one type of technology platform to another, but the approach and best practices are independent of that.
Right, my module objectives and all of that, the way I organized the course wouldn't change, but I mean, I had the Pinocchio video thing, I found, no offense, Lisa, but I found that to be kind of cumbersome to get used to. And so, I don't know, I guess I would be willing to switch platforms on that if it were easier. But I had some weird happen with my computer where my hard top was, or my hard drive was full, and so then it wouldn't record.
Actually, each little subtle nuance is quite a bit of a learning experience. I had this experience where Blackboard would not allow you to cut and paste into the. So I had a message I was trying to cut and paste, and I could not do it. Ultimately, I had to look online, and I found this is a known bug. But that was after, because nobody expects that kind of a bug to be there. This was after sort of spending 2 hours of trying to work it one way, another way, and so on, is when you realize, wait a minute.
Right.
Any other questions?
I'm curious how big these classes were.
Sue?
So for the doctoral classes, 5 to 10 students. For the fully asynchronous, some semesters we have 100 students. All at their own pace. So 100 students in 100 different locations. So again, it's the checking in routinely was important, so that because everybody's kind of at their own pace.
And for the others?
22, but I'm going to 39 next year, so I'm worried about that.
Breakout rooms.
Right.
I've done as few as 8 and as many as 24.
Okay, so they're pretty small, but,
I think mine was 15 or 16.
Right.
except for the 100, well, that's pretty big, but.
I think what's important to say though, the one at the Warner School, it would be exactly the same as if it was a normal face-to-face class.
So it's consistent.
It's not that they are smaller because they're online, that's just the nature of the courses that we teach.
No, but I was wondering, so I teach 100,
Yeah,
regularly, and what would this, would this accommodate that or not? And so
If
there's
your
at
time
least one
demands of
difference.
giving feedback to 20 people is bordering on overwhelming, what's it going to be when you have 100 people in there?
I can't even imagine.
So that's where I talked about that it's instructor facilitated. So we planned the activities so that the computer did most of the assessments. And so instead of having 20-page papers that the instructor reads, we talked about different, maybe short essays or having more lower stakes testing. So just take some thought of being a little bit more creative about it.
Was that different from your face-to-face classes, or was there not a face-to-face analog of the class?
When we converted our face-to-face classes to online, we had to be, especially some of our humanities, we had to be thoughtful about that in the instructor engagement from the level of commitment for that time.
Amount of time that you
Yeah.
had to be more careful.
So really, the students are providing feedback to each other, and when I would mentor in presentation skills, now they're mentoring each other in presentation skills. Because I don't read pages of discussion board. I hate blogs, I hate discussion boards. I use VoiceThread, so it's a live, the person is presenting, you see their facial expressions, but it's all asynchronous. They can log in whenever they want, and the other student logs in and says,
And so it's posted there, and you can
Post it in
you
discussion
can
board.
watch it if you want to.
So you basically
They're
are
assigned to
posting a
watch
little
it.
block, or
they
posting
are
a little
assigned
video block.
to talk and to present.
That capability is now a standard function within. No. The web recording function, so the ability to build audio and video responses and contributions in an asynchronous discussion board now is a standard part of Blackboard too.
Right, I
So
was trying to figure out what.
So you can
what's special
accomplish that
about
sort of thing.
VoiceThread, but it may be more convenient than Blackboard, I don't know.
you raise a good point. I mean, in some sense, thinking about designing a course for 20 can be different process than designing a course for 100. But it's a matter of, we often talk about, and maybe Dean Barassi would like to speak to it, but we often talk about affordances and constraints in this sort of environment, and you have to think about those sorts of choices when you think about trying to accommodate that many
Really,
students.
the question was whether numbers of students was a big constraint in the
It's-
online
It's
course or not.
a relevant factor.
That might lend itself to the TA model. So you're bringing TAs up to speed with not only the content, but with tools that would allow them to respond. And there might be something like that that could be built into the design of the course to accommodate the larger numbers.
Were all the videos recorded with a live audience, or were there also recordings where some of these cases you did not have somebody on it?
My intro recording, I'm sitting at home, I've got the camera on, the video cam on, click the button, I take students through a tour, I'm moving the mouse, they're seeing screenshots, captures, and so that's just me. You can do capture of the classroom if you want to do that. We've had cases where students couldn't make it to a class, and we've just turned on Panopto in the classroom, mostly to capture the audio, but if you wanted to get somebody talking, you'd turn the screen around and aim the camera at them. So there are ways to do some of those things.
So what I find is that the feedback I receive from the students' expressions is quite critical in terms of figuring out whether they're comprehending the material or whether I need to slow down and repeat something. So that absence of that feedback becomes a big issue when you're doing something without the audience.
And some of that you get through the audio feedback that you'll get. Say we're using Blackboard Collaborate and students have a slow connection. Video is a huge bandwidth killer. So you coach them to turn their video off but have their microphone on. And if you're coming through too fast or too slow or it's breaking up, they're very quick to respond. Sometimes you have to coach the student, hey, let me know if my voice is coming through. They'll jump right on and say, hey, slow down, or you're sounding like a chipmunk because it's coming through too fast.
On the online components, did you guys, so one of the interesting things is to use chat as a background thing. Did your students use chat as background channel while you were talking?
Yeah.
And how did that work? Because I've seen it work well in conference type situations.
Yep.
I haven't used it in classrooms.
Depends on how many students are in the class. With a class of 24, if everybody's typing, not everybody always types at once, but you coach the students, guys, when you're talking, I'm going to be focused on you. I'd like everybody else to be focused on what you're saying. But if you do have comments, park them in the chat box, and then we'll take a brief pause, go back and look at that and dig into that a little bit.
It's hard to do in face-to-face stuff, so that's a
Yeah.
new feature.
Yeah, but it's really handy.
I think one of the points that Hairong was making earlier was also in that space where an international student, as they're building up their confidence to participate through audio, in sort of at the beginning of that, they're using chat to sort of voice their questions that way. So that can actually be very valuable.
And also sometimes if we miss some points, we can always go back to look at the, no, sorry.
Right, so the notion of using Collaborate, we have the ability to record all of those sessions, and so we do that, and then we archive them and make all of those recordings available to the students in the class afterwards. So that's also valuable. We have time for one last question.
Very useful, this is a suggestion, not a question. What would be very useful for a future meeting is to see some samples of these different tools that are there, because those of us who want to explore these, it's a good idea to see them in action and see which ones make the most sense for.
That's a terrific point. I will say that we have some pointers to some of this on some of the websites that we can share with you, but it's a good point about maybe another session we can do that would actually walk you through how some of these things actually work. Okay. All right, let me just wrap up. Thank my dear friends over here for participating, both the faculty and the students. Really appreciate it. And thank you all for coming today. It's great that you could all make it out and join us, and thank you.